Israel's bombardment of the Gaza Strip has continued for a seventh consecutive day with air raids. Dozens of Palestinians are dead and several residential buildings have been flattened. 181 Palestinians have been killed since the offensive began. Well, rescue crews are searching through what remains of this building. Now, earlier there were hopes that two brothers who had called from inside that rubble would be found alive. They did manage to get them out of there, but sadly they died shortly after arriving at hospital. They were among 33 people who were killed in that blast, 21 of whom were from the same family. Now, doctors have told us that roads leading to hospitals have been bombed and medical services are being inundated. Well, Arab leaders met earlier on Sunday condemning Israel for what they called flagrant violations of Palestinian rights. And the UN Security Council will hold an emergency meeting in around an hour's time. Well, we've got a team of correspondents covering this story for you. Nida Ibrahim is in Ramallah in the occupied West Bank. Harry Fawcett is at the Mount of Olives in occupied East Jerusalem. Sami Abu Salam is in Gaza, as is Yumna al-Sayed. We'll go to her first. She joins us from outside the al-Shifa hospital. Yumna, as I've just been outlining, the death toll continuing to rise in Gaza. What more can you tell us this hour?
Just 15 minutes ago, 3 girls were taken out dead from the rubble from Abu al family in Al-Wahda Street. So we have 36 more children that have been added to the death toll of the children that were taken out of the rubble. Also targeting of a multiple of homes here and there across the Gaza Strip, in the southern area, in the central area, which brings up the total death toll to 188 now, according to the Ministry of Health, the last statistics. And we have a warning call that there is a Jalur building, which is just in the neighborhood and just close to al-Shifa complex where I am broadcasting from, that is going to be, there is a warning that this building is also going to be targeted. So we're in a state of cautiousness, where we're trying to be cautious as much as possible because it's very close to the hospital, which means that the hospital might also be directly, or might also be for sure affected by the targeting and the missiles that would target the building.
So, Yumna, we saw you looking up skywards as we were introducing you, both yourself and Samu. Just a quick safety check. Are you okay? Can you hear any planes or missiles incoming at the moment?
Yeah. Yes, there was just like there were the sounds of aircrafts and drones around us, and honestly, because of this warning call that we got about Jalur building, we're all in a state of cautiousness. We're all anticipating that anything would actually happen now. Also, rockets were launched, so they were just above us, and the sounds, whether by the aircrafts, the drones, or the rockets, they make huge sounds that are actually very frightening and traumatizing to the people here in the hospital.
Yumna, you are outside a hospital. Just give us a sense of what the situation is like in the hospital itself, because with all the escalating violence, the buildings, the residential buildings that have been brought down, it's safe to assume they're being inundated. How is the hospital coping right now?
Well, because of the overcrowdedness that is in the hospital, any middle or immediate injuries or light injuries are quickly sent out of the hospital or sent home, where they can be, whether like by just bandaging their wounds or cuts or anything like that, and just sending them out, because there is very little space left in the hospital, and the wounded out of the rubble are still, until this moment, coming by in numbers, whether dead people or wounded from the rubbles and even from the targeting that keeps on happening every now and then. The medical crews are extremely exhausted and sent out to different and multiple areas of the Gaza Strip. Everywhere we get a warning call saying that this building has got a warning call that it's going to be targeted. We find that there has to be medical crews and civil defense crews in that place in case of any civilians being under any rubble or getting killed out of the targeting. And this is what is so much exhausting to the medical crews and the hospitals now. The amount of people coming in and out of the hospital is just too much. And this is what we spoke about earlier, that the health system is almost collapsing very shortly due to these ongoing aggressions that are still going on until now.
Okay,
you can hear the raids now.
We can indeed hear the raids now. I want to make sure that you can get to a place of safety there, Yumna Al-Sayed. Just a reminder to our audience as well.
We're assuming that the Shifa hospital is the safest place unless something else changes and like the previous war, it gets targeted as well.
Well, let's hope that the Shifa hospital continues to remain a safe place for now. Yumna Al-Sayed will let you get to safety. Just a reminder to our audience who's watching, it is actually a war crime to target a medical facility. Let's stay in Gaza. We can cross now to Sami Abu Salam. He's a Palestinian journalist and a resident of Gaza. Sami, can you hear us? Are you okay where you are?
Yeah, right now, a little bit, yes. Actually, we have just seen the iron bomb is bombing, and we have heard lots of explosions. We have no details yet. It is just 2 minutes before. And right now, at this moment, the rescue teams are evacuating and inspecting the rubble. They are evacuating toys of children from bedroom. I have just been there and I inspected around. I have seen lots of toys and box and colors and things relevant to the kids. And I have heard the neighbor says, and the rescue teams are discussing about a bedroom of children right there. And one of them told me there are expected to be 5 kids under the rubble, not confirmed. Why not confirmed? Why it is just expected, maybe 5 kids or more? Because logically we have to ask the rest of the family how many guys under the rubble, but the rest of the family have been killed, so no details. And maybe the kids are dead or not, we don't know. Actually, and another picture of Gaza right now is the funerals. People have buried the dead people. Actually, here we are in Al-Wahda street. It is one of the main streets of Gaza. In this street, you are seeing now the bulldozer and the rescue teams are working, but it is just one location. There are 2 other locations. So in this street, 3 locations are busy, and the rescue team are working to remove the rubble and looking and inspecting for dead bodies. They are escaping or in a trace with the time. They are in a dilemma. Why in a dilemma? They have to work hard and very hard to seize the time if there is alive people, but in the meantime they have to be careful and slowly to keep the people are alive. So it is very complicated, and it is very obvious that the tools they are using is not enough, and you can see primitive except this bulldozer.
Okay, Sami Abu Salam there, live from Al-Wahda Street in Gaza. Do stay safe. Thank you for bringing us the very latest from the ground. We appreciate it. That's the view from inside Gaza. We're going to keep a close eye on those pictures, as viewers will have heard. Explosions going off in the background as our correspondents were reporting. Well, foreign ministers from the Islamic world held a meeting to discuss the escalating conflict. In his opening statement to the Organisation of Islamic Cooperation, Saudi Arabia's foreign minister condemned what he called flagrant violations of Palestinian rights. That's as Palestine's foreign minister pushed the international community to put an end to Israel's military operations.
All the free people of the world, all the people who believe in human rights and justice should reject this. The Palestinians are facing a coward's occupation that kills children and terrorizes families. This occupation must be faced, it must be attacked. We must put an end to this occupation. We need to know what should be done against the Israeli aggression.
Well, let's cross now to Ramallah in the occupied West Bank. Nida Ibrahim is there for us. Nida, what do you think people in Ramallah will think of that statement from the Palestinian Foreign Minister?
Hala, to give you a better idea of how Palestinians are perceiving the OIC meeting and also the expected meeting of the UN Security Council today, it is going to be the first open meeting. To give you more of an idea, we are inviting a Palestinian activist, and we're joined here by Rana Nazal, who is a Palestinian-Canadian activist. What are you guys expecting from these meetings?
Well, to be honest with you, I don't think that many Palestinians even know about this meeting, and I'm certain that no families are sitting around their TVs waiting to see what happens. All the crimes that have happened in Palestine over the last 70 years have happened under the era of the UN. They've happened under the noses of the international community. And I mean, one has to ask what the point is of a UN if it is only condemning and there is no action to follow up. Of course, we want to see the UN name what's happening by its name. We want to see them talk about apartheid and settler colonialism, about the genocide that's happening in parts of Gaza. But I don't think we're very hopeful.
And we've seen activists like you in the past few days, and we've been discussing with them how they're viewing the situation, and they say that they are disappointed, frustrated with their leadership. Why do you think, or if you at all think, that this time the situation on the ground is different than any other time?
Well, I do think that this is one of the first times in my life that I've seen, in my adult life, that I've seen every part of the Palestinian interior and the exterior, so many parts of the international world, of the people, not the states per se, actually rising up in popular protest. I think that we don't have much of a leadership to follow here. I think most of our true leaders have been put in prison or assassinated by Israel. And the political leadership that we have here, especially in the West Bank, has this abhorrent policy of security coordination with Israel. And I can tell you from my time on the ground that often we have to pass through a row of Palestinian Authority riot police before we can even reach our protests with Israel. And with a reality like that, it's very difficult to follow any kind of leadership, and people have to take things into their own hands.
Rana, I've been talking to many people on the ground some are optimistic by the attention they're getting from the international community. Others are telling me that we're not seeking anything from them. And I wanted to know how you're viewing that in light of the online campaign that is going on. Do you think that's changing? Do you think that's helping the cause?
I do believe in the power of the international community's people. I understand why so many youth, so many people have very little faith in states and in international actors like the UN. But I do think that that the people have power, that they have the power to support boycott, divestment, and sanctions, to push their countries to sanction. And I think that they're raising their voices, and we're seeing this at unprecedented levels, and I hope it keeps going.
Thank you so much, Rana Nazal. She is a Palestinian-Canadian activist, and we've been hearing from many Palestinian activists that the discourse is changing on social media, that they are trying to counter the censorship by certain platforms, and they say that they want to keep this going and show more people in the world what's going on in Palestine, that Palestinians are still living under the Israeli occupation.
OK, Nida Ibrahim there live from Ramallah. Thank you, Nida.